22, 2020, August 30th, 15:14 p.m. Now to the point. Jesus enters Rome, and at some point, days, weeks, months later, very, very likely days or weeks, he is arrested, and there's a whole rigmarole regarding the night before his arrest and the arrest, and the Last Supper before his arrest is also a whole rigmarole. Period. There's also there's a mathematical equation that is very difficult to ignore when you put 50 pieces of technology in a specific sequence of information. Period. Leonardo da Vinci invented 50 things. Well, if you put those inventions together in a very specific pattern, you arrive at the statistical possibility that Leonardo da Vinci was involved with the Last Supper, period. That he did not paint that based off of guessing, based off of the Bible and other things, he painted it based off of being an eyewitness account of the events. Yes, I understand. I understand the concept of an event that happened at 3300 BC, 3300 AD, 33 AD, and an event that happened at 1495, 1494. Well, there's just shy of 1500 years between those two events, period. So that's not possible, period. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle wrote very, very eloquently, when you eliminate all the realistic possibilities, the unrealistic possibilities become the only real solution, period. So it's entirely possible that Leonardo da Vinci created a mathematical formula or formulas, that created a sequence of tools and machines, period, that allowed him to perform a task that allowed him to then do some other interesting things, period. Which also allowed him to hand to the French a very specific very, very long piece of cloth that he could have obtained from the actual site right after Jesus did his exit thing. Leonardo da Vinci could have gone in there 5 days after he arrived and gathered it up and went back for physical, tangible, scientific proof that where'd I get this? I didn't paint it. I didn't create it. I went and picked it up. Here's physical, tangible evidence, proof of what happened. Period. He also picked up a few other things, pieces of evidence here and there, but that is nowhere near the point. Of course, period. Looking up when some of the other holy relics arrived in Paris and in France and in such, when did they arrive, when did they go on display, would be a very interesting thing if he actually picked up several pieces of stuff from there and brought it back and put it on display, but they couldn't. The French crown could not acknowledge those facts and evidence. This stuff would be very interesting to look up, period. However, we're talking about the crucifixion, period. Talking about the crucifixion brings up some very funky stuff, because the crucifixion actually took place in about 5 different parts. Those 5 different parts began after the arrest and the night in jail and such. It partially took place in the Curia Juliae with the Senate, a part 2 of the conversation that they'd had several days before then, regarding when he's conversating with the Philistines, he's actually talking with the Senate.